The alpha chose a rich Luna. Then he found his true mate raising his son alone. Chapter 1. 10 years earlier. Alara Vale knew the answer before she entered the great hall. She could feel it. The whispers, the stares, the pity. Every unmated female in the pack had been invited. Tonight, Alpha Rowan would choose his Luna. Everyone already knew who would win. Celine Ashcroft. Beautiful. Rich. Daughter of the most powerful alpha family in the East. Alara adjusted the tray in her hands. She wasn't there as a candidate. She was there to serve drinks, a servant, an omega, invisible, just the way everyone preferred. Move faster. A noblewoman snapped her fingers. Alara nodded. Sorry, she continued through the crowd. Music filled the hall. Laughter echoed from every corner. Yet her chest felt strangely tight. For weeks she had been having dreams. Dreams of silver eyes. Dreams of wolves. Dreams of a voice calling her name. She told nobody. Some things were better left unsaid. Especially for someone like her. A sudden hush swept across the room. Alpha Rowan had arrived. Tall. Powerful. Cold. Every conversation died. Alara lowered her gaze immediately. Looking directly at an alpha was considered disrespectful. Especially one like Rowan, the future Alpha King. She focused on her tray. Focused on breathing. Focused on staying unnoticed. Then it happened. A scent. Warm cedar. Rain. Wild earth. Her wolf stirred violently. Mate. The word exploded inside her head. Alara froze. The tray nearly slipped from her hands. No, no, no. Her wolf pushed harder. Mate. She slowly lifted her eyes, straight toward Rowan. At the exact same moment, his gaze locked onto hers. The room disappeared. The music vanished. For one impossible second, neither moved. Shock flashed across Rowan's face. He felt it too. Alara saw the realization, saw the recognition, saw the truth. Mate. The tray crashed to the floor. Glass shattered. Everyone turned. Hundreds of eyes landed on her. Alara's face burned. Rowan's expression hardened instantly. The shock vanished. His walls slammed back into place. Celine stepped beside him. Beautiful. Perfect. Everything Alara wasn't. Rowan? Celine asked softly. The alpha didn't answer. His eyes remained on Alara. The hall waited. The silence became unbearable. Then Rowan finally spoke. 3 words. 3 words that destroyed everything. She is nobody. The crowd erupted with laughter. Alara stopped breathing. Rowan looked away. As if she no longer existed. As if the bond meant nothing. As if she meant nothing. Celine smiled. Victory glowing in her eyes. Minutes later, Rowan stepped onto the platform. The announcement began. My Luna, the crowd leaned forward, will be Celine Ashcroft. Thunderous applause exploded. Alara felt her heart crack. Her wolf howled in pain, yet Rowan never looked at her again. Not once. The ceremony ended. The celebration continued, and Alara escaped into the darkness outside. Rain poured from the sky. She barely noticed. Tears mixed with rainwater. Her hands trembled. Her chest ached. Mate? The bond still existed. She could feel it. A silver thread connecting them. A thread Rowan had chosen to ignore. Footsteps sounded behind her. Alara wiped her face quickly. She expected another insult. Another cruel joke. Instead, she found Rowan standing there. Alone. Rain soaked his black coat. For several seconds, neither spoke. Finally, Alara whispered, Why? Rowan's jaw tightened. Because duty comes first. Her laugh broke into a sob. Duty? The alliance matters. So your mate doesn't? His eyes darkened. For the briefest moment she saw regret. Real regret. Then it disappeared. You'll move on. The words felt like a knife. Alara stared at him, truly stared at him, and suddenly understood. He was afraid. Not of her, not of the bond, of what choosing her would cost. Power. Politics. Status. Everything he wanted. He had chosen ambition. Not love. Not fate. Ambition. One day, she said quietly, you'll regret this. Something flickered in Rowan's expression. Pain, fear, maybe both. But he turned away, without another word, without looking back. And walked into the storm. Elara stood alone in the rain, heartbroken, rejected, forgotten, or so everyone believed. Because 3 weeks later, she discovered something that would change both their lives forever. She was carrying the Alpha's child. And before she could decide what to do, 3 masked wolves appeared outside her cottage door, with orders to make sure she never reached Rowan alive. Chapter 2. The pounding on the door came again, harder this time. Elara stepped backward. Her hands instinctively moved to her stomach. She had only learned about the pregnancy hours ago. The healer's words still echoed in her mind. You are carrying a child. Not just any child. Rowan's child. The future Alpha's heir. And now, strangers were outside her cottage. The timing could not be a coincidence. Another violent bang shook the door. Wood splintered. Fear surged through her. Open up! A male voice shouted. Elara's wolf growled. Run. The word exploded inside her head. Run now. She glanced toward the back window. The forest began only a few yards behind her home. Dark, cold, dangerous, but safer than whoever waited outside. A third crash shattered the lock. The door burst inward. 3 masked wolves stormed inside. Elara didn't wait. She jumped through the back window. Glass sliced her arm. Pain shot through her body. She ignored it. Branches whipped against her face as she ran. Behind her, angry shouts echoed through the darkness. After her, her heart pounded. Rain soaked her clothes. Mud grabbed at her boots, but terror pushed her forward. The child. Protect the child. Nothing else mattered. A howl split the night. Then another. And another. They were shifting. Faster now. Stronger. Closing the distance. Elara stumbled over a fallen branch. She hit the ground hard. Pain exploded through her knee. For one terrible moment she couldn't move. Leaves rustled nearby. The hunters were close. Too close. A massive black wolf emerged between the trees. Its eyes glowed gold. Elara's breath caught. Not one of the attackers. Someone else. The wolf stared directly at her, watching, judging. Then it turned toward the approaching hunters. A deep growl rumbled through the forest. The sound was terrifying, ancient, powerful. The attackers froze. One whispered nervously, "No." The giant wolf lunged. Chaos erupted. Snarls, crashes, screams. Elara could barely see through the darkness. One attacker flew backward into a tree. Another disappeared beneath black fur and flashing teeth. The third ran. The giant wolf chased him. Seconds later, a scream echoed through the night. Then silence. Complete silence. Elara sat frozen on the forest floor, unable to breathe, unable to think. Moments later, the black wolf returned. Not a single wound marked its body. It approached slowly, carefully. Its golden eyes remained fixed on her. Elara should have been afraid. Instead, something strange happened. She felt safe. The wolf lowered its head, almost respectfully. Then it turned and disappeared into the darkness. Gone. Just like that. Elara stared after it. What was that? She whispered. Her wolf had no answer. Only confusion and curiosity. Because there had been something familiar about those eyes. Something she couldn't explain. The next morning, the entire pack buzzed with rumors. 3 wolves had been found injured near the forest border. No one knew who attacked them. No one knew why. But everyone knew one thing. The wolves belonged to Celine Ashcroft's family. Elara's blood ran cold. Celine, the future Luna. Why would her family target an Omega servant? Unless they knew. Unless someone had discovered the pregnancy. A knock sounded at the healer's office. Alara jumped. The elderly healer sighed. "Relax, child." Easy for her to say. The old woman opened the door. A messenger stood outside. Alpha Rowan requests Alara Vale's presence. The room froze. Alara's stomach dropped. "What?" The messenger nodded. Immediately. Fear twisted inside her chest. Why would Rowan summon her? He hadn't spoken to her since the rejection. He had made his choice. He had moved on. So why now? The healer squeezed her hand. "Be careful." Alara nodded. Minutes later, she entered the Alpha's estate. The building felt larger than ever. Colder. Every servant stared as she passed. Whispers followed her. She ignored them. A guard opened the study doors. Rowan stood beside the window. Tall, still, unreadable. The moment they were alone, silence filled the room. Neither spoke. Neither moved. The mate bond hummed painfully between them, stronger than ever. Finally, Rowan turned. His silver eyes locked onto hers. And for the first time since the ceremony, she saw exhaustion. Real exhaustion. "You were attacked. It wasn't a question." Alara stiffened. "How do you know?" His jaw tightened. "Answer me." "No." The lie came instantly. Rowan's gaze sharpened. "You've never been good at lying." A strange memory surfaced. The two of them laughing together as children during pack gatherings, before status separated them, before destiny became complicated. Alara pushed the memory away. "Why am I here?" Rowan stared at her, long enough to make her nervous. Then he said something unexpected. 3 wolves were found injured last night." She remained silent. His eyes narrowed. They were carrying orders. A chill crawled down her spine. "What orders?" Rowan stepped forward. Slowly, dangerously. "Orders with your name on them." Ilara's pulse stopped. For several seconds neither moved. Neither breathed. Then Rowan quietly added, "Someone wants you dead." Fear flooded her chest. Because she already knew that. What terrified her was the next question. Did Rowan know why? His gaze dropped briefly, just briefly, toward her stomach, then back to her eyes. And suddenly Alara realized something horrifying. Rowan wasn't summoning her to protect her. He was investigating her, studying her, looking for something, looking for a secret. And if he discovered the truth before she was ready, everything would change. Because at that exact moment, a second heartbeat echoed faintly through the mate bond, and Rowan's expression shifted, as if he had heard it too. Chapter 3. The room suddenly felt too small, too quiet, too dangerous. Alara forced herself to stay calm. Rowan's eyes remained fixed on her, studying. Watching, listening, a powerful alpha could detect things others could not. Heartbeats, emotions, fear, and right now she was terrified. Not for herself, for her child. Rowan took another step forward. "What are you hiding?" The question hit like a hammer. Alara immediately looked away. Nothing. A lie. A terrible lie. And they both knew it. The mate bond vibrated with tension. Rowan's jaw tightened. For a moment she thought he might push harder. Demand answers. Instead he surprised her. "You're frightened?" "I was attacked." "You were frightened before that." Her chest tightened. Because he was right. She had been frightened since the night of the ceremony. Since the moment he chose someone else. Since the moment she learned she was carrying his child. A knock interrupted the silence. The study doors opened. Celine entered. Elegant. Beautiful. Confident. The future Luna smiled the moment she saw Rowan. Then she noticed Alara. The smile disappeared. Only for a second. But Alara saw it. So did Rowan. "What's she doing here?" Celine asked. Rowan didn't answer immediately. "I'm handling pack business." Celine crossed her arms. "With a servant?" The insult was deliberate. Alara expected Rowan to ignore it. Like always. Instead, his voice turned cold. "Leave." Celine blinked. "What?" "I said leave." Shock flashed across her face. For the first time, Rowan wasn't standing beside her. He was standing against her. The moment passed quickly, but Alara noticed. And apparently Celine did too. Her eyes narrowed. Dangerously. She looked directly at Alara. A silent warning. Then she turned and walked away. The doors slammed shut behind her. Silence returned. Rowan rubbed his forehead. As if exhausted. As if carrying a burden nobody else could see. Finally he looked at Alara. You need protection. No. His eyebrows rose. No? I can protect myself. 3 wolves tried to kill you. And somehow I'm still alive. A flicker of amusement appeared in Rowan's eyes. The expression vanished almost instantly. But it had been there. For the first time. A small crack in his cold armor. You'll stay inside the estate. Alara stared at him. No. His voice hardened. That wasn't a request. Anger surged through her. Months of pain. Months of rejection. Months of heartbreak. All exploded at once. You don't get to order me around. Rowan stiffened. You belong to this pack. No, her voice shook. You made it very clear I belong to nobody. Silence crashed between them. The words hit their target. She saw it, saw the guilt flash across his face. For a moment, Rowan looked away, and in that moment, he seemed less like an alpha, less like a leader, and more like a man who regretted something deeply. But before either could speak again, a scream echoed through the estate. Both froze. Then another scream followed. Louder. Closer. Rowan was moving before the sound finished. The alpha exploded from the room. Alara followed. Chaos filled the courtyard. Servants were running. Warriors were shouting. Smoke rose from the eastern wall. A stable was burning. People pointed toward the flames. Panic spread rapidly. Rowan barked orders. Evacuate everyone! Warriors rushed forward. Buckets appeared. Water splashed against fire. But Alara's attention shifted elsewhere. A little girl stood frozen near the burning building. Alone. Terrified. The flames were spreading fast. No one else seemed to notice her. Help! The child cried. The roof groaned overhead. Alara didn't think. She ran. Straight toward the fire. Someone shouted her name. She ignored it. Heat blasted her face. Smoke filled her lungs. The child was crying uncontrollably. It's okay. Alara dropped beside her. I'm here. The little girl clung to her immediately. Another crack echoed above them. The roof was collapsing. Fast. Too fast. Alara lifted the child and turned. The exit suddenly seemed miles away. A burning beam crashed to the ground, blocking their path. The crowd outside screamed. Someone shouted, "Get out!" Alara's heart sank. There was no way through. No safe path. No escape. The little girl buried her face against Alara's shoulder. I don't want to die. Tears burned Alara's eyes. Neither do I, especially now. Especially with the baby. Then something impossible happened. A strange warmth spread through her body, starting deep inside her chest. Flowing through her arms, through her hands, silver light appeared beneath her skin. Faint, soft, beautiful. The little girl gasped. The flames nearest them suddenly pulled away, as if pushed back by an invisible force. Alara stared in shock. What was happening? The warmth grew stronger. The fire continued retreating, creating a narrow path, just wide enough to escape. The crowd outside fell silent, watching, staring, unable to believe what they were seeing. Alara ran. She burst from the burning stable seconds before the roof collapsed. The crowd erupted. The little girl was safe, alive. Her parents rushed forward, crying, thanking her. But nobody's attention remained on the child. Every eye had shifted to Alara. The silver glow still lingered around her hands. Ancient, unmistakable. Several elders suddenly dropped to one knee. One elderly wolf looked horrified. Another looked amazed. A third whispered words that made the entire courtyard freeze. The moon healer. Silence followed. Absolute silence. Because the moon healer wasn't supposed to exist. The gift had vanished generations ago. Lost. Forgotten. Legendary. And now, every person present was staring at Alara as if she were a ghost. Slowly, very slowly, Rowan stepped forward. his face completely drained of color. That's impossible. But deep inside, he already knew it wasn't. Because when he looked at Alara standing in the sunlight, he finally understood why fate had chosen her. And for the first time since rejecting her, fear entered his heart. Because he had not rejected an ordinary Omega, he had rejected the rarest wolf in existence. Chapter 4. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The entire courtyard remained frozen. Alara wished the ground would open beneath her feet. She hated attention. She hated being stared at. But now hundreds of eyes followed her every breath. The silver glow finally faded from her hands. Yet the whispers only grew louder. Did you see it? It was real. The moon healer. I thought they were extinct. The words spread through the crowd like wildfire. Alara's stomach twisted. This wasn't good. Attention meant questions. Questions meant secrets. And secrets were becoming harder to hide. Rowan stepped forward. His voice cut through the noise. Everyone return to your duties. No one moved. The Alpha's eyes hardened. I said now. Immediately the crowd scattered. Warriors obeyed. Servants hurried away. Within moments, only a handful remained. The elders, Rowan, and Alara. One of the oldest elders approached slowly. His hands trembled. When were your abilities discovered? Alara blinked. My abilities? The elder exchanged looks with the others. You truly don't know. She shook her head. The old wolves seemed stunned. Rowan watched silently, listening, thinking, calculating. Finally, the elder sighed. The moon healers could heal wounds others couldn't. Alara frowned. Healers already heal. Not like this. The old wolf's expression darkened. Moon healers were blessed by the moon goddess herself. A chill ran through Alara. She had heard stories as a child. Bedtime legends. Nothing more. Or so she thought. They could calm madness. They could strengthen weakened wolves. They could heal bonds damaged by grief. The elder hesitated. Then added quietly, and they were known for producing powerful bloodlines. Alara's stomach dropped. Powerful bloodlines. Her hand instinctively touched her stomach. Only for a second. But Rowan noticed. She knew he noticed. His gaze lingered there briefly. Then returned to her face. The elder continued speaking. Most believe the bloodline vanished long ago. Maybe it should have. The words escaped before she could stop them. The elder looked surprised, but Rowan understood, because he saw the fear behind her eyes. This wasn't a gift to her. It was a danger, a target, a reason for enemies to come. The realization darkened his expression. Finally Rowan spoke. Come with me. Alara immediately shook her head. No. One elder almost laughed. You refuse the Alpha often. Only when he's being unreasonable. A few warriors nearby quickly looked away, trying not to smile. To everyone's shock, Rowan almost smiled too. Almost. The moment disappeared instantly. Yet something had changed. Something small. Something neither wanted to acknowledge. Trust. Not much. But enough to be dangerous. An hour later, Alara sat inside Rowan's private library. The room was quiet, warm, filled with old books. Rowan stood across from her, looking through ancient records. Neither had spoken much. The silence felt strange, not uncomfortable, just unfamiliar. Finally, Alara broke it. Why are you helping me? Rowan didn't look up. Because someone wants you dead. That's not the real reason. His hands paused. For several seconds he remained silent. Then he closed the book, slowly, carefully, as if choosing his words. The real reason doesn't matter. It matters to me. Their eyes met. The mate bond tightened painfully. Rowan looked away first. I made my choice. The words hurt more than they should have. Even after all these months, even after everything, the wound remained, fresh, raw. Alara stood abruptly. Then stop pretending. Rowan frowned. Pretending what? That you care. Silence filled the room. Dangerous silence. Because a part of her wanted him to deny it. A part of her wanted him to fight, to argue, to admit something, anything. Instead, Rowan said quietly, You think I don't care?" His voice sounded different, lower, rougher, more honest. Alara hated how much it affected her. "You chose her." The words barely emerged. Rowan's jaw tightened. "I know. You humiliated me. I know. You broke the bond." Pain flashed across his face. Real pain. Not guilt. Pain. And suddenly Alara realized something terrifying. The rejection had hurt him too. Not as much as her, but enough. Enough to leave scars. Before she could respond, the library door burst open. A warrior rushed inside. Out of breath, panicked. "Alpha!" Rowan turned immediately. "What happened?" The warrior swallowed hard. "We found the wolf who escaped the forest attack." The room went silent. The attacker, the one who ran, the only survivor. Rowan's eyes sharpened. "Where is he?" "In the holding cells." "Alive?" "Barely." Rowan moved instantly. Alara followed. The underground prison sat beneath the estate. Cold, dark, silent. The smell of blood filled the air. A battered wolf sat chained to the wall, his face swollen, his body covered in wounds. Yet the moment he saw Alara, pure terror filled his eyes. Not anger, not hatred, terror, as if she were the dangerous one. Rowan noticed. "So you know her?" The prisoner remained silent. Rowan's voice hardened. "Talk." Nothing. The Alpha's patience snapped. The temperature inside the cell seemed to drop. Alpha power rolled through the room. Heavy. Crushing. The prisoner began shaking. Finally he broke. "We were paid!" The words exploded from him. Rowan stepped closer. "By who?" The prisoner hesitated. Fear filled his face. Then he whispered a name. A name that made everyone freeze. A name nobody expected. Alpha Magnus Ashcroft. Celine's father. Silence. Absolute silence. Alara felt sick. Rowan's expression became unreadable. Dangerously unreadable. Because if Celine's father ordered the attack, then everything changed. The alliance, the engagement, the future. Everything. The prisoner continued trembling. "We were told the woman had to disappear." "Why?" Rowan demanded. The wolf looked directly at Alara, then toward her stomach, and suddenly Alara knew what was coming. She knew before he spoke. The prisoner licked dry lips. "They said she was carrying something that could destroy the alliance." The room stopped breathing. Rowan slowly turned toward Alara. The world seemed to tilt, because for the first time, someone else had spoken the truth aloud, and Rowan was finally beginning to see it. Chapter 5. The prison cell fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Rowan's eyes remained locked on Alara. The prisoner curled against the wall. Terrified. Broken. Forgotten. Because suddenly he no longer mattered. Only Alara mattered. Only the secret mattered. The secret she had hidden for months. The secret growing inside her. Alara felt her pulse hammering in her ears. This was the moment she had feared. The moment everything changed. Rowan took one slow step forward. Then another. His voice was barely above a whisper. "What is he talking about?" Alara wanted to lie. She wanted to run. She wanted to disappear. But she was tired. So tired. Tired of hiding. Tired of fear. Tired of carrying everything alone. Her eyes filled with tears. And in that instant, Rowan understood. The truth hit him before she said a word. His face lost all color. "No." The whisper escaped him. Alara closed her eyes. "I'm sorry." The apology shattered something inside him. Rowan stared at her. Shock. Disbelief. Fear. Hope. Every emotion collided at once. Slowly his gaze dropped to her stomach, then returned to her face. "How long?" The question sounded broken. "Almost 4 months." The room spun. 4 months. 4 months. His child had existed for 4 months. And he had known nothing. The realization struck like a physical blow. Rowan turned away, running a hand through his hair, trying to think, trying to breathe. The prisoner wisely remained silent. Finally, Rowan looked back at her. "Why didn't you tell me?" Alara laughed, a sad laugh, and a painful laugh, the kind that came from a wounded heart. Tell you what. His jaw tightened. Alara? That your child existed? Tears slid down her cheeks. You already told me who I was. The words hit harder than any weapon. She is nobody. Rowan remembered saying them. Remembered the laughter. Remembered her face. And for the first time, he truly hated himself. The alpha who feared nothing suddenly wanted to go back and erase one single moment. One sentence. 3 terrible words. But the past couldn't be changed. Only faced. You should have told me. Alara shook her head. No. His eyes flashed. No? You chose your future. Her voice trembled. I wasn't part of it. Silence. Heavy. Painful. Honest. For once neither hid behind pride. Neither hid behind anger. Only truth remained. And truth hurt. That evening, Rowan stood alone on the balcony outside his chambers. Rain fell softly across the territory. His territory. The pack he had sacrificed everything for. The alliance he had fought to secure. The future he had built. Yet none of it felt important tonight. Because a child existed. His child. A son or daughter growing inside Alara. A child who might have spent life believing its father didn't want it. The thought made him sick. The balcony door opened. Rowan didn't need to turn around. He recognized the scent immediately. Celine, you've been avoiding me. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Rowan remained silent. Celine stepped beside him. What happened in the prison? Still silence. Her eyes narrowed. Danger flickered behind her beauty. Then Rowan finally spoke. Your father hired wolves to attack Alara. The words landed like thunder. Celine froze. For a brief second. Only a second. But Rowan noticed, and that second told him everything. You knew. It wasn't a question. Celine quickly recovered. You don't understand. And the answer was enough. The alpha's expression darkened. You knew. Listen to me. No. Power rolled through the air. Raw alpha power. The balcony trembled. Windows rattled. Celine's confidence finally cracked. Rowan! You knew. The words came out colder than winter. Celine swallowed. Fear appeared in her eyes. Not fear of violence. Fear of losing. The thing she valued most. Power. Status. The future Luna title. You don't understand what was at stake. Rowan slowly turned toward her. Silver eyes blazing. What was at stake? The alliance? The alliance? Celine nodded desperately. If she gave birth. She stopped. Too late. The silence that followed was deadly. Because Rowan heard what she didn't say. If she gave birth. Not if she lied. Not if she manipulated him. If she gave birth. Meaning Celine knew the child was real. The truth settled heavily between them. You knew about the baby. Celine looked away. And Rowan finally understood. Not part of it. All of it. The attack. The spying. The threats. Someone had discovered Alara's pregnancy months ago. And instead of protecting her, they had hunted her. His unborn child had been hunted. A growl escaped his chest. Low. Dangerous. Animal. Celine took a step backward, then another. For the first time since meeting him, she looked genuinely afraid. Hours later, Alara sat alone in her cottage. She had refused Rowan's offer to stay inside the estate. Again, the alpha wasn't happy. Too bad. She needed space. Needed time. Needed to think. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. She frowned. It was late. Very late. Carefully, she opened the door. Her breath caught. Rowan stood outside, alone. No guards, no warriors, no alpha mask. Just Rowan. Rain soaked his clothes. Neither spoke. For several seconds, they simply stared at one another. Then Rowan held something out. A small wooden wolf. Alara blinked. She recognized it instantly. Her childhood carving. The one she lost years ago. You kept this? The question escaped before she could stop it. Rowan nodded. The answer stunned her. Because he shouldn't have it. Because nobody knew about it. Because keeping it meant he had cared long before either of them realized they were mates. A painful silence followed. Finally, Rowan spoke. When we were children. His voice sounded rough, uncertain. I used to wait for those gatherings. Alara stared, certain she had heard wrong. Rowan almost laughed. A sad laugh. You were the only person who talked to me normally. The confession shocked her. Everyone admired Rowan growing up. Everyone respected him. Everyone wanted something from him. Power, influence, attention. But Alara never had. To her he was simply Rowan, the boy who hated formal dinners, the boy who preferred forests to politics, the boy who secretly rescued injured animals. The memory hurt, because somewhere along the way, that boy had disappeared. Or maybe he hadn't. Maybe he had simply become buried, lost beneath responsibility, lost beneath duty, lost beneath fear. Rowan looked down at the wooden wolf, then back at her. I was wrong. The words barely emerged, yet they carried enormous weight. Alara's chest tightened, because she knew how difficult this was for him. An alpha admitting fault, an alpha apologizing. It almost never happened. I was afraid. She stared at him. Rowan Blackthorn, future Alpha King, the strongest wolf in the territory. Afraid. Of what? He answered before she could ask. Choosing you would have started a war. The rain fell harder. The night grew quieter. And for the first time, he told her the truth. Not the whole truth. Not yet. But enough. Enough to reveal that his rejection had never been simple. Enough to reveal that someone far more powerful than Celine had been manipulating events from the shadows. And as Rowan stood in the rain, a terrifying realization finally clicked into place. The attack on Alara had never been about the alliance. The pregnancy was only part of the reason. Someone wanted the Moonhealer bloodline erased completely, which meant the enemy wasn't finished. And somewhere beyond the territory borders, a far more dangerous wolf had just learned that Alara was still alive. Chapter 6. The next morning began with blood. A wounded scout collapsed at the main gate. Warriors rushed forward. Guards shouted for healers. Panic spread through the estate. Rowan arrived seconds later. The scout was barely conscious. Deep claw marks covered his chest. His breathing was weak. His heartbeat was fading. What happened? Rowan demanded. The scout coughed blood. They crossed the border. The words came out broken. Who crossed? Fear filled the scout's eyes. A fear Rowan had never seen before. The Crimson Fang Pack. Silence followed. Several warriors exchanged nervous looks. Others cursed under their breath. Even Rowan's expression darkened. The Crimson Fang Pack. A name that belonged in nightmares. Ruthless, powerful, ancient. They rarely left their territory, and when they did, people died. How many? Rowan asked. The scout swallowed. Hundreds. The courtyard exploded into chaos. Warriors immediately began preparing defenses. Messengers raced through the territory. Alarms sounded. Yet Rowan remained perfectly still, thinking, calculating. Because enemy packs did not mobilize hundreds of wolves without reason. This wasn't a border dispute. This wasn't politics. This was something bigger. Something personal. And deep down, he already knew why they had come. Alara stood inside the healer's quarters. Her hands glowed silver. The injured scout gasped as wounds slowly closed. The room watched in stunned silence. Each day, her gift grew stronger, more difficult to hide, more difficult to deny. The scout's breathing steadied. Color returned to his face. A healer beside her whispered, "Amazing." Alara ignored the compliment. She felt exhausted. Healing took energy. Especially serious injuries. Sweat covered her forehead. The baby shifted slightly. A small reminder. A small miracle. Her hand instinctively rested on her stomach. The gesture made her smile. For just a moment. Then the door opened. Rowan entered. The smile disappeared instantly. Not because she hated him. That would have been easier. No. The problem was worse. She was beginning to trust him again, and that terrified her. Rowan approached quietly. The scout survived. She nodded. You saved him. I healed him. A small difference, but an important one. Rowan studied her. For weeks he would have focused only on the gift. only on the moon healer. Now he noticed other things. The exhaustion beneath her eyes, the strain she tried to hide, the courage she showed every day, the way she protected others despite her own fear. The woman, not the gift. And the more he noticed, the harder it became to look away. "We need to talk," Alara sighed. Those words never lead anywhere good. A faint smile touched his lips. The expression surprised both of them. Then it vanished. The Crimson Fang Pack crossed our border. Her smile disappeared. Immediately, she knew that name. Everyone knew that name. They haven't attacked anyone yet. Yet? They're searching. A chill crawled through her body. Searching for what? Rowan didn't answer immediately. His silence was answer enough. Me. The realization struck instantly. They're searching for me. That afternoon, the elders gathered inside the council chamber. Ancient books covered the table. Maps covered the walls. Tension filled the room. Alara sat quietly beside Rowan. The arrangement itself caused several raised eyebrows. Neither commented. An elder finally opened a weathered book. The moon healers were more important than most people realize. Rowan leaned forward. "Explain." The elder nodded. The bloodline wasn't merely rare. His expression grew serious. It was royal. The room fell silent. Alara frowned. "Royal?" Another elder took over. "Long before the modern packs existed, moon healers helped choose alpha kings." The revelation stunned everyone, including Rowan. The elder pointed toward an ancient drawing. A woman stood beside a king. Silver light surrounded her hands. Without a moon healer's blessing, many rulers believed their bloodline would fail. Alara stared at the image. Something felt familiar, strangely familiar. Then another page appeared. This time her heart nearly stopped. The woman in the drawing looked exactly like her mother. Not identical, but close enough to be family. "What is it?" Rowan asked. Alara pointed. "My mother." The elders exchanged shocked looks. One old wolf whispered, "Then the stories were true." "What stories?" The elder slowly closed the book. "We believed the final moon healer bloodline escaped decades ago." A terrible feeling settled over the room, because if the bloodline escaped, someone must have been hunting it. For generations, not months, not years, generations. That evening Rowan walked Alara home. Neither mentioned it. Neither acknowledged it. Yet somehow it happened. Naturally. Like old habits returning. The sun was setting. Golden light stretched across the territory. For a while they simply walked. Side by side. Quiet. Comfortable. The silence felt different now. Not awkward. Not painful. Peaceful. Finally Alara spoke. "Do you regret it?" Rowan knew exactly what she meant. The choice. The ceremony. The rejection. Everything. His answer came immediately. Every day. The honesty stunned her. She stopped walking. Rowan stopped too. For several seconds neither spoke. The mate bond hummed softly between them. Gentler now. Less painful. More hopeful. "I hated you." The confession slipped out. Rowan nodded. "You had every right. I wanted to forget you." Another nod. "I know." She laughed softly. That part didn't work. Something warm appeared in Rowan's eyes. Dangerously warm. A kind of look that could break hearts. Or heal them, maybe both. Before either could say another word, a sharp pain shot through Alara's body. She gasped. Her knees buckled. Rowan caught her instantly. Strong arms wrapped around her. Protective. "Careful." "Alara." The world blurred. Another pain followed. Stronger this time. Not from the pregnancy. Something else. Something deeper. Silver light suddenly exploded from beneath her skin. Brighter than ever before. The ground trembled. Trees swayed violently. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Rowan pulled her closer, trying to shield her, trying to understand. Then Alara screamed. Not from pain. From visions. Images flooded her mind. A mountain fortress. Red banners. Thousands of wolves. A silver crown. A black wolf standing over a battlefield. And one final image. A man. Tall. Terrifying. ancient, eyes as red as blood. The moment he appeared, Alara knew exactly who he was. Not because she had met him, because her blood remembered him. The man smiled, as if he could see her, as if he knew she was watching. Then he spoke. One sentence. 3 chilling words. At last, granddaughter. The vision ended. The light vanished. The world returned. Alara collapsed against Rowan, shaking, terrified. Rowan held her tightly. What did you see? She looked up at him, face pale, eyes full of fear. Because the enemy wasn't merely hunting the moon healer bloodline, the enemy was family, and the most dangerous wolf alive had just revealed himself as her grandfather. Ewer Map. Chapter 7. The words echoed through Rowan's mind. Grandfather. Impossible. Yet the fear in Alara's eyes told him she believed it. And somehow, so did he. The walk back to the estate happened in silence. Rowan refused to let her walk alone. Not now. Not after what had happened. Not after the vision. His hand remained lightly against her back. Protective. Steady. Every few seconds he checked her breathing. Checked her expression. Checked to make sure she was still there. Alara noticed. She said nothing, but a small part of her felt safer because of it. And that frightened her. Because safety could become trust. Trust could become hope. And hope had broken her once already. The council chamber erupted the moment they arrived. The elders listened to Alara's story in complete silence. When she finished, nobody spoke. Finally, Elder Corvin lowered his head. He lives. Rowan's eyes narrowed. You know him. The old wolf looked exhausted. Not surprised, not confused. Exhausted, as if carrying a burden for decades. We prayed this day would never come. The room grew colder. Who is he? Rowan demanded. The elder sighed heavily. His name is Malachar. Several elders immediately looked away. Fear flashed across their faces. Real fear, the kind experienced wolves rarely showed. Alara felt her stomach tighten. Who is Malachar? The answer came quietly. The last Moon King. Silence. Absolute silence. Rowan frowned. Moon King? Corvin nodded. Before the Alpha Kings, there were Moon Kings. His expression darkened. They ruled everything. The elder opened an ancient journal. A faded portrait stared back at them. The man in the image looked exactly like the figure from Alara's vision. The same crimson eyes. The same dark hair. The same terrifying smile. Alara's blood ran cold. It's him. Corvin nodded. Malachar believed moon healers and moon kings should rule the world together. Rowan crossed his arms. And? The elder hesitated. Then spoke carefully. The moon healers disagreed. What happened? War. One word. One terrible word. The room fell silent again. The elder continued. Thousands died. The moon healers rebelled. They destroyed the throne. They scattered across the territories. And Malachar disappeared? Alara stared at the portrait. A sick feeling twisted inside her chest. Why is he hunting us? Corvin's face turned pale. Because you are the last direct heir. The room froze. The last heir, the last moon healer, the last connection to a bloodline thought extinct. And suddenly everything made sense. The attacks, the spies, the hunters, the generations of pursuit. Malachar wasn't trying to kill her. He was trying to find her. 3 days later, the territory prepared for war. Watchtowers doubled their guards. Warriors patrolled constantly. Training fields remained active day and night. Every wolf could feel it. Something was coming, something terrible. Yet for Alara, a different battle was beginning. Because the baby was growing, and Rowan was changing. At first she thought she imagined it. Little things. Small things. He always made sure she ate. He walked her home after meetings. He checked on her every morning. He argued with healers about her workload. The first time it happened, Alara laughed. You know I'm pregnant, not dying. Rowan didn't laugh. You pushed yourself too hard today. I healed 2 wolves. You healed 7. She blinked. How do you know that? I counted. The answer stunned her. Because he sounded serious, completely serious. The realization warmed something inside her, something she desperately tried to ignore. One evening, Elara sat beside the lake near the territory border. The water reflected the moonlight beautifully. It had always been her favorite place. Few wolves knew about it, fewer visited, which made it perfect. Or so she thought. Footsteps approached behind her. She didn't need to turn around. "You're following me again." Rowan sat beside her. "Protecting you." Following. Protecting. A smile tugged at her lips. Rowan noticed. His chest tightened. The sight affected him far more than it should. For a while they watched the water together. Quiet. Peaceful. The kind of peace neither had experienced in months. Then Elara broke the silence. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened?" Rowan knew the question immediately. If he had chosen her, if he had ignored politics, if he had trusted the bond. His answer came softly. Every day. The honesty hurt. Because now they both knew. The future they might have had. The family they might already have been building together. The years they lost. The pain they caused. The silence stretched. Then Rowan spoke again. "There wasn't a day I didn't think about you." Elara froze. Her heart stopped. "What?" Rowan stared at the lake, unable to look at her, because admitting weakness felt harder than fighting a war. "I tried to forget." His voice remained low. "I couldn't." The confession shattered her defenses. Months ago, she would have given anything to hear those words. Now, they felt bittersweet, beautiful, painful, too late, or maybe not. She didn't know anymore. Before either could speak again, a howl echoed through the night. Then another. Then another. Alarm howls. Danger. Rowan was on his feet instantly. The peaceful moment vanished. Warriors raced across the territory. Torches lit the darkness. Chaos exploded. A guard sprinted toward them, breathing hard. "Alpha! What happened?" The guard looked terrified. The eastern prison was attacked. Rowan's expression hardened. "The prisoner?" The guard swallowed. Fear flooding his face. Gone. Silence. The escaped attacker. The only witness. The only source of information. Gone. Rowan cursed. Then the guard added something worse. Much worse. He wasn't taken. Rowan frowned. "What do you mean?" The guard looked directly at Elara, then whispered, "He left willingly." A chill swept through the group. Because that meant only one thing. The prisoner hadn't escaped. He had been rescued. And if someone could infiltrate the Alpha's territory that easily, then the enemy was already closer than they thought. The next morning brought disaster. Celine Ashcroft vanished. No guards saw her leave. No servants knew where she went. She simply disappeared. The search lasted hours. Then a message arrived. A single black envelope, sealed with crimson wax. Rowan opened it immediately. His face went pale. Then cold. Then furious. Elara watched uneasily. "What is it?" Rowan handed her the letter. Her hands trembled as she read. The message contained only one sentence. "Bring the moon healer to the Crimson Fortress, or your Luna dies." The room fell silent. Every eye shifted toward Rowan. Toward the Alpha. Toward the impossible choice. Save Celine, or protect Elara. And before anyone could speak, a second page slipped from the envelope. A photograph. Fresh. Recent. It showed Celine chained inside a stone chamber. Alive. Terrified. And standing behind her, smiling directly at the camera, was Malachar. Chapter 8. The room remained silent long after the letter was read. No one knew what to say. No one knew what to do. Because the choice seemed impossible. Save Celine. Protect Elara. Risk war. Risk lives. Risk everything. Rowan stared at the photograph, his expression unreadable. But inside, a storm raged. Celine had once been his future. The woman he planned to marry. The alliance he fought to protect. He couldn't simply abandon her. Yet every instinct screamed the same warning. It's a trap. A deadly trap. And the bait was Elara. That evening the council gathered again. Voices rose, arguments exploded. Warriors demanded action. Elders urged caution. The room divided quickly. We attack immediately. No. We negotiate. Impossible. Selene must be rescued. The moon healer must be protected. The debate seemed endless. Until Elara stood. The room fell quiet. Every eye turned toward her. I'll go. The words shocked everyone, especially Rowan. No, his answer came instantly. Firm. Absolute. Elara met his gaze. People will die if we don't. No. Selene will die. No. The second refusal sounded even harsher. The council exchanged uncomfortable looks. Because Rowan wasn't speaking as an alpha, he was speaking as a mate. Even if neither openly acknowledged it. Elara stepped closer. We can't ignore this. Rowan's eyes burned. Watch me. A few warriors wisely looked away. The tension between them filled the room. Elara lowered her voice. Rowan. No. You haven't even listened. I don't care. The honesty stunned everyone, including himself, because he truly didn't care. Not when her life was involved. Not anymore. The realization settled heavily inside him, and for the first time, he stopped fighting it, stopped denying it, stopped hiding from it. He cared. Deeply. Dangerously. Completely. The room suddenly felt too small, too crowded, too public. Rowan turned toward the council. Meeting over. Nobody argued. Nobody dared. Later that night, Elara stood on the balcony outside her room. The moon hung high above the territory. Beautiful. Silent. Ancient. Footsteps approached behind her. She didn't turn. You're angry. Rowan stopped beside her. Yes. The answer came immediately. Elara almost smiled. At least he was honest. Why? His laugh held no humor. You really need to ask? She looked toward the moon. You can't protect me forever. The words hit a nerve. Because Rowan wanted exactly that. Protect her forever. Keep her safe forever. Make up for every mistake forever. And none of it seemed possible. You shouldn't have offered yourself. Elara finally looked at him. Someone has to stop this. Their eyes met. The bond hummed softly between them. Stronger than ever. More alive than ever. Rowan's voice grew quiet. I already lost you once. The confession stole her breath. The words hung between them. Raw. Honest. Painful. Because both remembered. The ceremony. The rejection. The months apart. The loneliness. The regret. Everything. Rowan stepped closer. Only a little. Yet somehow it felt like a lifetime. I'm not losing you again. Elara's heart ached. Because she believed him. She truly believed him. And that made what happened next even harder. Just before dawn, Elara disappeared. No struggle. No attack. No signs of violence. She simply left. A single letter remained behind. Rowan found it hours later. His hands trembled as he opened it. The handwriting was unmistakable. Elara. The first line nearly broke him. I'm sorry. Rowan's chest tightened. He kept reading. You would never agree to this. That's why I couldn't ask. Selene doesn't deserve to die. Your people don't deserve war, and our child deserves a future without bloodshed. His vision blurred. The letter shook in his hands. You once chose duty over us. Now I'm choosing it too. The words felt like knives. Because they mirrored his own mistake. His own choice. His own regret. The final line hurt most of all. Please don't follow me. The paper crumpled in Rowan's fist. The room exploded. Furniture shattered. Windows cracked. Alpha power erupted violently. Warriors rushed into the room, then immediately stopped. Because they had never seen Rowan look like this. Heartbroken. Terrified. Furious. One guard swallowed nervously. Alpha? Rowan slowly lifted his head. Silver eyes blazing. Prepare the warriors. The room froze. Another guard hesitated. How many? Rowan's answer echoed through the estate. All of them. 3 days later, the Crimson Fortress appeared on the horizon. Massive. Ancient. Built into the side of a mountain, Red banners fluttered from towering walls. Thousands of wolves guarded the entrance, and standing before them was Malachar, the Moon King. He smiled the moment Alara arrived, as though greeting family, as though years of hunting meant nothing. "Welcome home." Alara's skin crawled. "This isn't my home." The smile widened. "You're wrong." His crimson eyes studied her carefully, then drifted toward her stomach. His expression softened, strangely, almost lovingly. "The bloodline survives." Fear tightened her chest. Because for the first time, Malachar looked less like a monster, and more like a grandfather, which somehow felt even worse. "You've killed people." The accusation echoed across the courtyard. Malachar shrugged. "They stood in the way." The casual response horrified her. Yet he seemed genuinely confused by her reaction, as if human lives meant little, as if centuries had eroded something important inside him. "You'll understand eventually." "No." His smile faded, slightly. "You will." Before Alara could respond, a horn sounded from beyond the fortress walls. Then another, then another. Malachar slowly turned. For the first time, his expression changed. Not fear, not anger, respect. The old king laughed softly. "Interesting." Alara frowned. "What is?" Malachar looked toward the distant horizon, then smiled. A real smile. The smile of a warrior meeting an equal. "You're Alpha." Alara's breath caught. She rushed toward the wall, toward the edge of the fortress, and when she looked down, her heart nearly stopped. Thousands of wolves filled the valley below. An army, a massive army. At its head stood Rowan Blackthorn, silver eyes locked directly on her. Even from that distance, even across the battlefield, somehow she knew. He had come, just like she knew he would, and Rowan wasn't alone. Because beside him stood every allied alpha from the Northern Territories. An army large enough to shake kingdoms, large enough to challenge legends, large enough to start a war. The final battle had arrived, and as Rowan drew his sword and looked toward the fortress, Malachar quietly whispered words that chilled Alara to the bone. "Good." Then the ancient king stepped forward, and his wolf began to emerge. Chapter 9. The valley trembled. Not from thunder, not from earthquakes, from wolves. Thousands of wolves. Two armies stood facing each other beneath dark clouds. One side carried the banners of the Northern Territories. The other carried the crimson symbol of the Old Kingdom. And between them stood two leaders. Rowan Blackthorn, Malachar, past and future. Old power and new power, both prepared for war. Alara stood atop the fortress wall, her heart hammered painfully. She searched the battlefield until she found him. Rowan. Even surrounded by thousands, he was impossible to miss. Tall, strong, unmoving. His eyes never left the fortress, never left her. For one brief moment, the noise seemed to disappear. The armies vanished. The war vanished. Only the two of them remained. Then Malachar stepped beside her. The illusion shattered. He came. Alara didn't answer. The old king smiled faintly. "He loves you." The words caught her off guard, because they came from the last person she expected. Malachar studied the battlefield. "Interesting." "What is?" The old king pointed. "Most rulers send soldiers." His crimson eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "He came himself." Alara swallowed hard, because she knew exactly what that meant. Rowan wasn't here because of duty. He wasn't here because of politics. He was here for her. And somehow that realization felt more terrifying than the war itself. Below, Rowan rode forward alone. The allied alphas immediately protested. "You can't go alone. We don't know his strength. It's a trap." Rowan ignored them. His horse continued forward, steady, certain, until he stood halfway between both armies. Silence spread across the valley. Malachar laughed softly, then stepped forward as well. The ancient king moved with impossible confidence, as though war meant nothing, as though armies meant nothing, as though death meant nothing. The two leaders stopped 20 feet apart. Neither lowered their gaze. Neither looked away. The air itself seemed tense. Rowan spoke first. "Release her." Malachar smiled. "No." The answer came easily, almost playfully. Rowan's jaw tightened. "Then this ends today." The old king chuckled. "You think you can kill me? I know I can." The confidence surprised even Malachar. For the first time, the old king looked curious, not amused. Curious. Interesting. His gaze sharpened. "You truly love her." The words echoed across the valley. Several warriors exchanged shocked looks. The confession hadn't come from Rowan. It had come from his enemy. Yet nobody denied it. Not even Rowan. The Alpha simply stared ahead, silent. Because some truths no longer required words. Malachar laughed again. "You remind me of myself." The comparison made Rowan's skin crawl. "I hope not." For a brief second, something dark crossed Malachar's face. A shadow, a memory, a regret. Then it vanished. The king's smile returned. "Then let us see which of us fate prefers." The battle began. Not with a charge, not with a roar, but with a single step. Malachar shifted. The transformation shook the ground. Gasps erupted from both armies. Because no wolf should be that large. No wolf should possess that much power. His crimson wolf towered over ordinary alphas. Ancient, massive, terrifying, the creature looked more like a monster than a wolf. Alara's breath caught. How could anyone fight that? How could Rowan survive? Then Rowan shifted. A silver-black wolf emerged. Powerful, majestic, fearless, smaller than Malachar, but somehow no less dangerous. The valley exploded. Both armies charged. Thousands of wolves crashed together. The war had begun. Chaos consumed everything. Snarls echoed across the battlefield. Claws flashed. Dust filled the air. Warriors fought desperately. Pack against pack. Alpha against alpha. Meanwhile, Rowan and Malachar collided. The impact sounded like thunder. The ground cracked beneath them. Both wolves staggered, then attacked again, and again, and again. The battle was brutal, relentless. Neither gave ground, neither surrendered. Blood-stained silver fur, blood-stained crimson fur. Still they fought. Alara watched helplessly from the fortress wall. Every injury Rowan suffered felt like a knife. Every blow made her heart stop. Then disaster struck. Malachar landed a devastating attack. Rowan crashed into the rocks below. The entire valley froze. Alara screamed. "Rowan!" The Alpha didn't move. Dust covered everything. Silence spread. The old king slowly approached, victorious, certain. The battle seemed over. Then Rowan stood. Slowly, painfully. But he stood. The northern army erupted with cheers. And for the first time, Malachar looked impressed. "Good!" The old king's voice echoed across the battlefield. "Very good." Hours passed. Neither side gained advantage. The dead and wounded covered the valley. The war consumed everything. Then Alara noticed something. Something strange. Something wrong. Malachar wasn't trying to kill Rowan. Not truly. Several opportunities appeared. Several fatal openings. Yet the old king never took them. Why? The answer came suddenly. Like lightning. He wasn't fighting Rowan. He was testing him. The realization chilled her. Testing him for what? Then she remembered the stories. The Moon Kings. The Moon Healers. The ancient throne. Her blood ran cold. No. 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 Malachar wanted an heir. Not a kingdom. Not conquest. An heir. Someone strong enough to inherit what he built. Someone worthy. And Rowan had unknowingly passed every test. The truth horrified her, because if she was right, the battle had never been about victory. It had been about selection. As sunset approached, the battlefield changed. A horn echoed across the valley. Everyone stopped. Everyone turned. Malachar stepped backward, breathing heavily, bleeding, exhausted, yet smiling. The sight confused everyone, especially Rowan. Then the old king looked toward Alara. For the first time that day, his expression softened, not as a ruler, not as an enemy, as family. Come here, granddaughter. Alara refused to move. The old king sighed, a tired sigh, the kind old men made. I spent centuries trying to rebuild a broken world. The battlefield fell silent. Every wolf listened. I was wrong. Shock spread through the valley. Even Rowan froze. Because monsters weren't supposed to admit mistakes. Kings weren't supposed to surrender. Yet somehow, Malachar sounded sincere. Painfully sincere. The old king looked toward the setting sun. I lost everything chasing control. His voice grew quieter. Family. Another pause. Love. And finally, hope. Silence. Complete silence. The ancient king closed his eyes, then opened them again, and looked directly at Rowan. The girl chose well. The statement stunned everyone. Before anyone could react, a hidden crossbow fired from the fortress wall. The sound cracked through the valley. Alara turned instantly. Too late. The bolt flew toward Rowan. Fast. Deadly. Impossible to avoid. Gasps erupted. Warriors shouted. Then Malachar moved. The old king stepped directly into its path. The bolt pierced his chest. The battlefield froze. Absolute silence followed. And because the greatest monster in history had just taken an arrow meant for Rowan. Chapter 10. The battlefield fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The bolt remained buried in Malachar's chest. The old king looked down at it, almost surprised, as if death itself had finally caught up with him. Then his knees weakened. For the first time in centuries, Malachar fell. A collective gasp swept through the valley. Even his own warriors stood frozen, unable to believe what they were seeing. The legendary Moon King, the wolf who survived wars, the ruler who terrified generations, dying. Alara found herself running before she realized it. She raced across the battlefield, past stunned warriors, past wounded wolves, past everything. Rowan reached Malachar at the same moment. Both dropped to their knees beside him. Blood stained the old king's clothes. Dark, heavy, fatal. Alara's hands immediately began glowing silver. Don't. Malachar's voice stopped her. Tears filled her eyes. I can save you. The old king smiled sadly. No. The answer came gently, not harshly, not coldly, gently. For the first time since meeting him, he seemed peaceful, truly peaceful. You don't owe me that. Alara's chest tightened. Because he was right. After everything he had done, after everyone who suffered because of him, she owed him nothing. Yet somehow she still couldn't stop crying. Malachar slowly turned toward Rowan. His crimson eyes softened. You passed. Rowan frowned. What? The old king coughed blood, then laughed weakly. You chose her. Understanding flashed across Rowan's face. The tests, the war, the questions. Everything. Malachar had been searching for something. Not power, not conquest. Proof. Proof that someone would choose differently than he had. The old king's smile trembled. I didn't. His voice cracked. Pain filled his eyes. Not physical pain. Regret. Centuries of regret. I chose power. The words echoed through the valley. Every wolf listened. Every wolf heard. I lost the woman I loved. Silence followed. Then another confession. I became king. A bitter laugh escaped him. And it wasn't worth it. Tears slid down Alara's cheeks. Because suddenly she understood. The old king wasn't really fighting Rowan. He was fighting his younger self. Trying desperately to prove that a different ending was possible. That someone could choose love before it was too late. Malachar looked toward the sky. The setting sun painted the clouds gold. Beautiful, peaceful, final. Then his gaze returned to Alara. My granddaughter. The words sounded fragile now. Human, no longer terrifying. Just sad. So very sad. I am sorry. The apology shattered her heart, because she could hear the truth in it, the sincerity, the regret, the loneliness, all of it. The old king closed his eyes briefly, then opened them one last time, and looked directly at Rowan. Take care of them. The alpha's throat tightened. For once. Words failed him. So Rowan simply nodded. The old king smiled. A real smile. Small, peaceful, free. Then he exhaled. And never inhaled again. The war ended that day. Not with victory. Not with conquest. With a choice. The Crimson Fang wolves surrendered. Many simply walked away. Others remained. No longer enemies, no longer soldiers. Just wolves searching for a future beyond war. A future Malachar himself never found. Weeks later, Pick slowly returned. The territory began healing. Homes were rebuilt. Fields reopened. Families reunited. Life moved forward. For the first time in years, Alara felt hope. Real hope. Not survival. Not endurance. Hope. Yet one question remained. The question neither she nor Rowan could avoid forever. The moon shone brightly above the lake. The same lake where they once imagined impossible futures. The same lake where everything changed. Alara stood near the water's edge. One hand rested on her stomach. The baby kicked gently, making her laugh. A familiar scent approached. Cedar, rain, home, Rowan. She smiled before turning around. The sight waiting for her stole her breath. Rowan stood holding a small wooden box. Nervous. Actually nervous. The realization almost made her laugh. The most feared alpha in the territories looked terrified. Rowan? He swallowed, hard, then stepped forward. The moon reflected in his silver eyes. I had a speech. Alara blinked. A speech? He nodded. It was good. A pause. Then I forgot all of it. A laugh escaped her. The sound immediately relaxed him. Just a little. Rowan opened the box. Inside rested a beautiful moonstone ring. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. Alara stared. Speechless. For once, she had no words. Rowan took a slow breath, then spoke from the heart. No rehearsed speech. No perfect lines, just truth. I spent years choosing the wrong things. His voice remained steady. Power. A pause. Duty. Another pause. Fear. His eyes never left hers. But every good thing in my life led back to you. Tears filled her eyes instantly. Because she believed him. Every word. Every single word. Rowan stepped closer. I can't change the past. Honesty hurts. Yet it also healed. Because neither of them needed fairy tales. Only the truth. But I want every future day. His voice softened. With you. The world seemed to disappear. Only the two of them remained. The lake. The moon. The bond. The love they spent so long denying. And finally, the choice. The one that should have been made years ago. Rowan slowly lowered to one knee. Alara Vale. His voice trembled. Just slightly. Enough for her to notice. Enough to make her heart melt. Will you be my Luna? Tears streamed freely down her face. Happy tears. The kind she thought she'd never experience. She laughed through them. Cried through them. And finally answered, yes. The word echoed across the lake. Across the years they lost. Across every mistake. Every heartbreak. Every second chance. Rowan slipped the ring onto her finger. Then stood. Neither spoke. Neither needed to. Because some moments were too important for words. He gently touched her face. She leaned into his hand. And then, for the first time since fate brought them together, they kissed. Not because of a bond. Not because of destiny. Not because of prophecy. Because they chose each other. Completely. Freely. Forever. 6 months later, the entire territory gathered beneath bright banners. And music filled the air. Laughter echoed everywhere. Today wasn't just a celebration. It was history. Alara stood beside Rowan on the grand platform. Radiant. Confident. Beloved. No longer invisible. No longer unwanted. No longer alone. And in her arms, a baby boy with silver eyes blinked curiously at the crowd. The future. Their son. the same son who would one day shock an entire territory with his silver markings. The same son who would unknowingly reveal the truth hidden for years. The story had come full circle. Rowan wrapped one arm around Alara. The other rested gently on his son's back. For a moment he looked over the crowd, his pack, his family, his home. Then he looked at Alara, the woman he almost lost, the woman who taught him the difference between power and happiness, the woman who changed everything. She smiled. He smiled back, and for the first time in his life, the alpha who once chose power over love finally understood something simple. The greatest victory was never a kingdom. It was coming home to the people who loved you. The end.